Welcome to the St. John Genealogy Project webcast. Today we will be exploring some lesser-known aspects of the St. John family, uncovering their fascinating stories and ancestral connections. Okay, everybody, I don't know if anybody's going to show up because I had technical difficulties getting started, but I'm going to go ahead and record this just so I have it done and you guys can watch the replay. So I have the agenda up. I'm going to show you some pre-recorded things that I have. First we're going to go through the correction from last week where I tried to create the custom event, Virginia Company of London and Plymouth. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you how to add media to sources on Walter Hoyt's profile. And then I'm going to show you how I work through a change request for Marion Small St. John, and apparently I duplicated that. So anyway, we're not going to do that twice. So I'm going to move ahead and go to the corrections from last week. Okay, so last week I was trying to make the event category for the Virginia Company, and I couldn't find it in my list, and that's because I put the display name as members of the Virginia Company instead of making it start with Virginia Company members. So I went ahead and corrected that record, and then I split them out and made two. So I have VC London and VC Plymouth, and then they each start with Virginia Company members, and then in parentheses it's London or Plymouth. So now when I'm on a profile and I type V, it will come up. So that was the issue from last week. I had M there and I was looking in the V's. And so I try to keep them the same, but for whatever reason I was typing before thinking, and then I just assumed that I had it in the V's. So that's to fix that error, and then we'll move on. So after I created the Virginia Company field, I went ahead and created a report. So what I did was I started this report, Virginia Company of London members, and then I'm going to display their person ID, their full name, and then the details from the Virginia Company members fields. And basically I'll just search for that field, the fact field, and if it has the word member in it, it will appear on my report. So then on the home page, you would go to Find Reports, and then you can do a search for Virginia Company, and you can click that, and it will show you the people that have that in their record. So I went ahead and entered these into those profiles, and I'm working on the rest. So anyway, that's what we can do with custom fields. So we can create a field, create a report, and then populate data. And then, you know, I can even run a report when I get the other of Plymouth members and have it combine it. Or we can see that who was in the Virginia Company and also was in the Royal Navy and things like that. So once all this data is populated, it becomes very useful because we can create our own custom reports and look at data in any number of ways. So the next thing on our agenda is to go over how to add media to a source. So I have Walter Hoyt's profile, and I'm working on adding sources and media. So I went ahead and recorded it. Okay, so I'm on Walter Hoyt's profile and I want to add media to a source. So I'm going to choose this first one and I'm going to click on it. And as you can see, we have the title of the source, the short title, source ID, an example of how the source is written out, and that it's linked to Walter Hoyt. So I'm going to press edit here. And it's going to give me this add media button, and this allows me to add media directly to this source rather than adding media to a profile, for example. So I click add media. This operation will take place in a new tab. Close the tab when you are ready to return here. Say OK. And so I'm going to open, make it a document because this is a page out of a book. And choose file, and I'm in Walter Hoyt's, and there's the source right there ready to go in, so I'm going to press OK. And basically I had a folder on in my downloads for Walter Hoyt, and I was just saving records there, and now I'm uploading them. So it shows me that the record is Jacobus, page 295. We're going to create from the original rather than specify our own thumbnail. So if we had a thumbnail we wanted to choose, we could select that. But you can also have the system create it from your original here. And then the title is already populated because we've added it to a source directly. If I wanted to make it private, I could press this private button. If I want to make it always viewable or open in a new window, I can select those. I just save and continue. And it's spinning, it's saving. Okay, so what it did was it saved it, and as you can see, it's linked to this source. And but if I wanted to add additional things, like if I wanted to add Walter Hoyt, if I wanted it to be linked to a source and a folder collection on Walter's profile, I could search for Walter here. And we'll just go ahead and do that and press add. And so now we have Walter Hoyt's person profile linked, and then we also have the sources linked. But for the source, I'm going to check default photo. If this was an image of Walter Hoyt, for example, I might press default photo for him, but I'm not going to because I already have his signature displaying excuse me, as his default photo. So anyway, we have the source, we have its default photo, and what it's going to do is it's going to put that near the title here, and then we're going to save and exit. And now we're in the media folder, and it told us to close this, and now we're back to this, and we're going to press save and exit. So now we have the image linked to the source, and we have the source linked to Walter Hoyt's profile, and if we click on Walter Hoyt, now he has a media folder for this source. Put it in documents, so right here. So right now it's only showing one, but if there were multiple images stored in this album, then it would have a drop down like this, photos here. I don't really want this record linked here, so I'm going to go back to the image, and I'm going to edit media, and then I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to delete this link to Walter's profile because I'm fine with it just being in the source. So I click delete. Yes, it's okay to delete. Now it's gone. Now I save and exit. And now I have an error page because it's no longer linked to Walter's page. Go back to Walter's page, and that is gone. All we have now are the signatures and debunk claim, so there's no more document. But when we go to the sources list, we can see that it is now attached to that record, and we can click on it and see it there, and we can see it there. And if we click on the image or the link, it will bring up the full size. And here we can see that this was about Walter Hoyt, son of Simon, and it's from page 295, just as our source says. And that is how you add a source record to, or a media to source record. And okay, the next thing on the list is I got a change request for the record of Marion Small St. John. So I also pre-recorded that, and I'm going to share that with you now so that you can see how the submit button works and what I do in real time. Oh, great-grandmother, and that her. So I received this email, a proposed change. This was somebody who had submitted a change to the profile of Marion Small St. John. Francine used the submit button like I discussed in the last video. And basically, she's saying that this is her great-grandmother, and that her great-grandmother, Marion Small St. John Van Wart, born in 1894, is female and not male, so she's entered into our website as a male, which not sure if it was a data entry mistake or just an assumption. And then she says, thanks for sharing this great website with people interested in family history. And so you'll see that I redacted her last name, her email address, identifying information, just so that we can focus on the information that she shared. So basically I went and I looked at Marion Small St. John's profile on the website, and yes, she is apparently entered as a male. So the next thing I wanted to do was see what was entered in Orlean Alexander's book. And so, excuse me, I went to open up her book and see what was there, and again, just basic information, her person ID number, Marion Small. I probably assumed it was a man because Marion was spelled with an O. I don't know why I was going to say 0. And there was no other identifying information. So I didn't research this person. I just did a basic data entry. And so when I edited this, I saw that this was a record that I had entered back in 2012 when I was building this database out. So that makes sense. So I was copying from Orlean's book. So basically, I'm going to now go into Ancestry and see if I can verify that this is indeed the same person that the email is talking about, verifying that this is the grandmother and not a different person. So I'm going to, Van Wart is the surname, so I'm going to see what I can find in Ancestry about Marion Small St. John, and see what we have. So we just have a tree. Let's see if we can find anything else. Oh, we found a picture of this person. And let's see what we find on their profile. See who this is. John Jacobs. He has the Van Wart spouse. Marion St. John. Granddaughter of Joseph L. St. John. Excuse me. So let's see what we have. I have granddaughter of Chauncey St. John, so that's interesting. Let's see what we got going on here. Father's name Joseph. Oh, okay, this is right. So we have father is Joseph. Father is Joseph. I'm going to sneeze. Sorry, I had to mute you because I had to sneeze. Okay, so now let's go back to this. So we have the father is Joseph. Who else is in this? And granddaughter. Let's look at this better. So Mary Adams is the head, so she's apparently the granddaughter of Mary Adams. I don't know if I have that entered. Nope. Okay, so let's see. We have Joseph P. St. John is the mother's, or Jesse P. St. John is the mother's name. Joseph L. St. John is the father's name. And that appears to be what we have here. Daughter of James A. and Mary Small Porter, Jesse Porter. Okay, I don't know why I have all that information in there. Oh. So, let's take this out and put this as a note. And save that. Finish. Save. And are you going to save it? Let me refresh this website so that the sometimes Cloudflare messes up it times this out, and so it's just easier to okay, it did make the change. Okay, so we have Jesse Porter and Joseph Lancaster Palmer St. John, and then we have Marion as a female and granddaughter. Father's name is Joseph L. Mother is Jessie P. So we're going to assume that this is correct based on that. And we're going to go in here and we're going to change this to female. And then we're going to save and stay. So now we have a female. And let's see what else they have in their tree. Let's go. Okay. So where was it? Okay, I was looking at this page. Okay. And we have married to Irving Franklin Van Wart. And with some children there. Okay, so this, let's see what the birth is. Marion Small St. John, female, born April 20th. So we can, excuse me, add that. Save and stay. And then we have birthplace, Brooklyn. And we can add that. Save and stay. Father's name is Joseph. Mother's name is Jessie. Maiden name Porter. So now we can go over here to the citation details, and we can see that this is from the New York Index to Birth Certificates. And now we can create a source, and we can hit create here. We can put a short title. So what I do is I just kind of enter all this information. Into the title, and then I will put New York birth certificates. And then let's see what else. I will put it in the repository of Ancestry. So now, oops, that's not what I meant to do. Let's open that back up. I'm going to take a view record, and we're going to put this URL into the, and then I'm going to copy and put that there, and then I'm going to put, let's see, we have author information. I'm going to put this, sorry. I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to put a repository, ancestry.com. Publisher is ancestry.com. Original data. New York birth certificates. And there isn't necessarily a call number, so I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to put reliability is 3. And I'm going to save that. Finish. Save and stay. And now I have updated this. And I'm going to stop there. I mean, I could research this out further and put the spouse and all those details. We should put birth of these two people. Save that. And I'm going to exit that. And then I'm going to go into her, excuse me, parents' marriage record. And I'm going to add that source to this marriage. And go to the family chart. Press edit. And we're going to add this source here. Copy last. Save. Finish. Save. And now that source is going to appear on both the marriage record and the person's record. So now we have the source here, and I don't think there's an image with this source. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, so I'm not going to put that, but there is a link now to it. So anybody that comes to the website can go find the original if that's what they want to do. And I'm going to leave it at that because I addressed her main concern, which was that she wanted the gender corrected. I think I will do one more thing. And that is, see if there's a marriage record. So here we have a marriage record. That says Marion T. That's probably a typo. Let's see. Marion Small St. John, Irving Van Wart. So I'm going to go ahead and add this marriage. Add new spouse. Press OK. Create this new person. And then I'm going to just leave it at that for the moment. And I'm going to put in the marriage details. And I'm going to save and continue. And now I have this couple entered and this marriage recorded. And now I'm going to enter a source. And so I'm going to go to the citation details. Actually, I might view record because it displays it better. Excuse me. All right, so we have. Actually, I'm going to go to the way it was. I'm going to enter it the same way I did the other one. Marriage. Citation details. New York marriages. Create. And that's that. Back to the record. View record. I'm going to copy this URL and put that in there. And then I'm going to copy this whole thing and put it in the long title. And then I'm going to put the repository as Ancestry and the publisher Ancestry again. And the author. All that into there. Save. Here we go again. Let's refresh the page. Yep, Cloudflare does not like to let me work. It likes to time stuff out. Okay, so that's saved. We're going to put reliability 3 because the higher the number indicates the greater reliability. I could put today's date in there. And save. Finish. Save and exit. And because I refreshed it, it whited out that page. But if I go over here and refresh this page, it will show her marriage to Irving and their marriage date. And I don't have any information on him. Sometimes I care, sometimes I don't. But just for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to show you, that I fill in the information if I feel it's relevant. My focus isn't on these other families, but let's see if they have any source data for these guys. There's his birth certificate, so we can at least put him in there. And the F stands for Franklin. And we can give him a birth date, so at least if he shows up in a search result, it's not empty, so you would know that it's the right person. And save and stay. And we will enter this information. Create. So what I'm doing is just again copying the source information over to this profile. And ancestry record, view record. And then putting a link to the record. Copying all of that, putting that there. Repository is Ancestry, publisher is Ancestry. Oops. And the author of the record, New York City Department Records. And we will say, I want to put in there just to have it. Press save. Reliability is 3. Save. Finish. And then save and exit. And now Marion Small St. John is entered. I did not fill out her full profile. My goal is to get descendants who are interested in these. Since I don't have a DNA test subject or anybody that makes this a priority, excuse me, priority profile, I'm going to leave it at that. And if somebody wants to come along and help me edit it, that's great. But that's the basic information, and that is how I address these proposed changes when people submit record or change requests. So now I have that finished, and I'm going to archive this into my Gmail folder where I have completed this one, and I'm going to move on. Okay, so I have gone through all of these sections, and I'm apologizing for the technical issues. And the reason that last video didn't start is because I muted my video and didn't mute my mic, so you probably heard me clicking buttons. But anyway, it's all resolved now, and hopefully next week will go better. And I apologize for the coughing. I've been fighting a cold for a couple weeks. So anyway, if there's not any more questions, Kelly asked about the reliability on the record, and I later explained it in the video, but I also answered her there in the chat. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, well, I'm going to close this and see you guys next week. Thanks for coming.